In today's episode, we will address the topic of disappointment and when disappointment turns out to be something else. Welcome to Dare to Be Conscious, the show that gets you to change anything with ease. I'm Ruby Pichel, and I'm your host. In today's episode, we will address the topic of disappointment and when disappointment turns out to be something else. When an energy comes up, instead of avoiding it, look it straight in the eye and ask what it wants to reveal. Often, or I would even say every time when an energy or an emotion comes up, it's not about the first thing that comes up. There's always something underneath the surface. You just have to be willing to see what it is. And how do you get to see what it is? Ask a question. If there's anything you could take away from this episode, what would it be? What would you ask for? My ask would be that you will walk away knowing it's not so scary underneath the surface. It might make you happier. And when something bad happens, there's always a gift hidden under all that crap. And last but not least, what if you can solve anything with just a question? Now, let me take you to a season in my life when I knew a big change was going to happen. I knew. And when I say I knew, I really knew from a specific date there was going to be a turning point. Now, I didn't know what it would be, but I knew it would be a huge shift. I could perceive it. I could perceive it months ahead. And I know by now there's nothing we can do but sit back and allow the universe to reveal the change. And change never shows up the way you think it will. So I was living my life, doing my thing, strutting my stuff, contributing to the evolution of human consciousness, stuff that normal people do. When suddenly things went downhill with one of my brothers. He was living in a home for people with Alzheimer's disease. He was diagnosed about 2 years before at the age of 56. And he went through some struggles of accepting where he was, but he settled and he was doing fine. When all of a sudden, he wasn't. We got a phone call from the facility and they told us he wasn't doing well. He had trouble breathing and he was very confused and restless. So I went to see him the next morning and I spoke to him and I spoke to the doctor and they couldn't find what was medically wrong with him. So I sat with him. I put on some music and I just sat there. I felt like I needed to be there with my energy. And I had this sense of being in the moment because this could well be one of the last moments I'd share with him. I don't know why I was feeling that, but I did. And that evening, we got the phone call. He passed away. He wasn't in pain. He wasn't short of breath. He placed a pillow on the floor in front of the TV. He sat down and his heart stopped. In all the sadness I felt for him leaving this dimension, I also felt gratitude that he was able to leave the earth this way. And I thanked God for his guidance. Then the next day, I accompanied my sister for some test results at the hospital. It was lung cancer, and she needed to go through more research to set up treatment right away. her whole world collapsed. And all I could do was hold the space. And I promised I would stand by her through all the treatments. Now, this was tough, but I knew how to handle this. I've had so many lessons in life, and the Holy Spirit had been supporting me all the way. And when you choose it, all of life really does come to you with ease, joy, and glory. And I knew change was coming. So was this the change that I've been asking for to show up? The next thing that I'm going to share with you was, strange enough, the tough part. A person that had been getting closer to me did not turn out to be the person I thought he was. Right after my brother passed, I told him about it. And the next day, I told him about my sister. I didn't get more than a text to wish me all the best. And then crickets. Now, nobody has to be there for me, right? Nobody has the obligation to be there for me or to give support when I'm going through a rough spot. But you would expect from someone close to you, they would want to be there for you, right? Okay, so I had some expectations. This is where I use the amazing tools from Access Consciousness. All the projections, expectations, separations, judgments, and rejections that I have, I destroy and uncreated times a gazillion. Right, wrong, good, bad, POC, nice shirts, boys, poets, and beyonds. And if you don't know the clearing statement, go to theclearingstatement.com. I'll put the link in the show notes. Because if you don't have expectations, you cannot be disappointed. And I love it right now as I'm doing this clearing and as I'm in the moment, I get the sense of the angels surrounding me. So thank you for being here. Okay, so disappointment. I was disappointed. Very disappointed. I was so disappointed. That emotion was the heaviest emotion I felt that week. And I had just lost my brother and heard my sister had lung cancer. And the emotion that was the strongest and heaviest was the emotion of disappointment. Wow. What the heck was that? And this is where I start asking a lot of questions. Like, what is this? What do I do with this? What else is available here? What else is possible? And the thing with asking so many questions in a row is that the universe has to respond. And what I became aware of was that this heavy sensation of disappointment wasn't just disappointment. I got a sense of the energy of humiliation. And it wasn't mine, it was my mother's. And instead of just returning it to sender, like I would usually do, I had an archangel in front of me. And he said, pour that energy of humiliation into me, and I will take it from you. So I started pouring the energy over to him, thinking that it was only a little ball of energy. And as I started pouring, waves of this energy poured into the hands of that angel. It was a whole process, and it kept flowing for a while. I did not realize I was storing all that energy with me. I had absolutely no idea it was this much. So I continued asking more questions, and what I got was, underneath the disappointment and humiliation, I was indignant. I was outraged about the fact someone would rather listen to the whispers of the devil than choosing to walk in light, choosing to walk with Jesus. And immediately I could see Jesus standing before me, laughing. And he said, "Oh, sweetheart, if you are upset every time someone chooses the devil over me, you will keep yourself busy." And I started laughing. You know that sensation when the truth makes you so light, all you can do is laugh? So I had this emotion tucked so deep inside of me. It was coming to the surface with these circumstances. It showed me there was a deep rooted emotion that I was not consciously aware of. And that's the beauty of consciousness. When you tap into that awareness and you get to observe all the emotions, you are completely out of judgment. That's where the change can occur. Now, when you become aware of things and you make a choice to change it, there are so many other things that you can choose, so many other things that you become aware of. It's too much to talk about for now, and we would get too much of topic, but I will tell you, choosing consciousness and to be willing to receive everything, the good, the bad, and the ugly, it can be tough, but it opens up so much space and it gives you actual freedom. Free from emotions that are stored and hidden in the body. Emotions that are not even ours to begin with. Emotions stored in the body, which I believe eventually creates sickness in the body. Now, there is another layer to this story with my sister. A week before our brother died, and a week before she heard she had cancer, we were both living our lives, not knowing we would go through these experiences. I had a private session with a client the week before, and during that session, we got a visit from 3 archangels. One of them came especially for me. It was Archangel Raphael. He had a message for me. He wanted to work with me, he said. He wanted to work with me in the coming period. And I was excited about this. I had worked with Michael and with Gabriel before, but I had never worked with Raphael. I looked up his name, and until then, I never realized his name means God heals. Not that anything clicked for me at that time. All I could think was, this is cool. Just show me. And then a week later, on Tuesday, my sister received the message. The message that she had lung cancer. And this is where you can see we get caught up with experiences and emotions because I did not put 2 and 2 together. It wasn't until 2 days later, on Thursday, I was at home about to go to the hospital again with my sister. And as I was having my cup of coffee, Raphael showed up again. And he said, "Do you remember what I told you last week?" "Well, of course I do," I said. "You want to work with me? That's what you said." "Yes," he replied. "For this, for your sister who's going through cancer treatment." And I finally got it. God already knew, and he sent me his angel that heals. So I told my sister the whole story, and she cried. She couldn't believe the angel came for her, but she received it anyway, and she was grateful for the help and guidance. And all I had to do was explain to her how she could invite him in, what she could do that would allow him to flow his energy. And that's what she did. She followed my tips on how to exercise meditation and prayer with Raphael, and he was with her through every treatment. I could not go in all the way to hold her hand through the treatment. We're not allowed in. But I could send Raphael with her, and she could perceive him, and she felt at ease. I told her I wanted her to go through the full treatment in the hospital. The chemo, the radiation, do everything the doctor tells her. I'm not going to imply that I energetically magnetize her to health. Allow the doctors to use the big guns and shrink the tumor, but I will show you how to support the body during treatment and allow it to recover from the intense cancer treatment. And if I can give my sister a sense of peace, and I can take away most of the fear and allow her to go through all the treatments with ease, that's what I want to give her. I gave her faith and trust and love. And I have to believe that's enough. And Raphael showed me an image of her in a pool of water, showing the ripple effect from her body. And he said to me, she's already healed. And after 2/3 of the treatment, which was only a couple of weeks, the doctor told her the therapy is successful. The tumor is shrinking. I'm getting goosebumps all over. She still has some more treatments to go, but they can see that it is working and the cancer is leaving the body. We both cried with relief. All I can say is I'm so grateful I'm able to receive this. I'm grateful to be able to communicate with Jesus and the archangels and all the other benevolent beings that are here for our highest good. At first, I didn't really know what to do with it. But as I started progressing and learning about them and what they can do for us, I so enjoy working with them. I remember at some point, Michael pointed out to me, I could ask Gabriel to take pain or heaviness away. Whenever you feel it in the body, just give it to him. He loves to help with that. He enjoys it. I had no idea. Well, if that's what he likes to do, I don't like to keep it. So he can take it. And now I do that regularly. When something feels heavy, or it feels like I have a weight on my shoulder or knot in my stomach, I ask Gabriel to take it from me. And he does this with total ease. He just needs a second and then he's done. He's like, there you go. So you see, when you dare to look at what is underneath the surface, we think we are opening Pandora's box. And in a way we are, but at the same time, we shine light on darkness and heaviness. And in light, no darkness can exist. And life happens for us. Experience happens for us. Many times, we don't like the experience, or we don't like the emotions that come to the surface with that experience. But the emotions aren't bad. We just judge them as bad because they don't feel good to us. But an emotion is just an emotion. It's an energy. And energy is not positive or negative. Energy is just energy. And if you picked up an emotion like pain, or in my case, disappointment and humiliation, and you decide to make it yours and store it in the body, it's not that emotion's fault. You picked it up. You made it yours and stored it. You also have a choice to not make it yours and let it flow through. Now, I know that's not what they teach us. You either have to refuse emotions, or when you have made them real and true, you have to live through them. I disagree. Refusing just means you're holding up a barrier. Barriers are not a protection. They only keep us from expanding and being the infinite being we truly be. And what's the idea behind going through every emotion when 99% is not even yours? And what is not yours, you cannot change. So what a waste of time to go through all the emotions to see where you pick them up. There's no need. First, send away everything that is not yours. And if there's anything left, you may look at where you picked it up. And even that's not necessary. but you can if you want to. So here are a few things when dealing with emotions. First of all, send away everything that does not belong to you. Even if you picked it up from your neighbor, your parents, your ancestors, or you don't even know, if it's heavy, it's not yours. Let it leave. Another thing is, an emotion is just an emotion. It's a consciousness, and it's not positive or negative. Energy is just energy. It's our judgment about how the emotion makes us feel what makes it positive or negative. It doesn't feel good, so we judge it as bad. But it's not the emotion's fault. You have a charge on it and you don't feel good around it. The emotion doesn't even want to be there. It wants to leave. But you want to keep it locked up in the body. And then you get upset with the emotion that when it comes up, it doesn't feel good. And it has to come up because the universe sees all the emotions you are storing in the body, and it's just giving you an experience so that the emotion can leave. And isn't that a gift? For you to be able to cleanse your body from all the emotions you keep hidden. And basically all of this can be tackled by asking questions. What's right about this I'm not getting? It's one of my favorite questions. I once had a friend calling me, and she was very upset when something happened in her relationship. She was crying and she didn't know what to do, and she was frantic. Now, a good friend would calm a person down until they stop crying. And most of the time, they would give them advice. Not me. I said, this is going to sound weird, but I need you to hang up the phone and ask this question at least 10 times. What's right about this I'm not getting? Shout for all I care, scream, slam on the floor. I don't care, but keep repeating this question. Call me back in 10 minutes. Now, this is not normal for most people, but she trusted me and she did it. And she called me back 10 minutes later, and not only did she feel better, she got the awareness of what to do next. Try it sometime. You'll love it. Now, in the next episode, I'd like to talk about another aspect of this game we call life on Earth, and that's the concept of money. What is money really? And is it made into something more than it really is? The topic of money is intense and has so many layers. But let's start peeling and see where it goes. Thank you for being here. If you want to be reminded when there's a new episode, subscribe to my podcast, connect with me on social media. The links are in the show notes. If you have a question about this episode or future episodes, connect with me and send me your question. Thank you for what you are choosing in the world. You matter, and I love you.